And today we have Gwen with us. And Gwen, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi.
What you do for a living?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for asking me to be involved. Absolute pleasure to be here. My name's Gwen. I work for Hughes Gray Ridgeons. They're an independent timber and builders merchants across the nation, but my branch is in Cambridgeshire.
Can you explain a bit about what your job role is, what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the branch manager, and I run what you'd call a builder's yard, which is a sort of depot with a yard outside with all our heavy side stock and a shop and a sales office. And we've got 7 people who work here, including a lorry driver who goes out and makes deliveries on an 18-ton crane lorry.
What would you say is the best thing about your role that you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing about it?
I think just the variety. I mean, it's a very fast-paced industry anyway. You really don't know what each day is going to involve, and even though there are elements of your day that you have to do every day, the back office stuff like banking or stock control and that sort of thing, the dynamism of the customer element is just really exciting. You can have very busy days where you've got customers coming in for all sorts of weird and wonderful things. You're trying to help them overcome the obstacles on site or supply issues, perhaps with the materials, helping them problem solve to make sure they've got the right product when they need it. And yeah, you just never know what you're going to walk into. And I really like that. It's just it's a very exciting and stimulating place to work.
Do you find that your job role involves a lot of problem solving then? Do they come to you with a problem that you've got to try and find a way around?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you might have found it in your own experience that builders aren't always the most forward thinking of clients, and often if they're on site and they come across an issue, let's say they've opened up the ground to put the footings in and they found something in there that they don't expect, and maybe that's changed the way they've got to do things, or perhaps the architect specified a particular product, or even their retail end users suddenly change their mind on the kind of bathroom that they want, and you've got to be able to react to that quite quickly and be imaginative and helpful and creative, but also practical. And they might insist that they need a pack of bricks on site today, otherwise their lads aren't going to have any work to do. But actually, if there's a supply issue on that brick, or I've got to move them in from a larger depot, it's about managing their expectations, but whilst trying to help them solve their problems. And that's a really satisfying part of the job. But sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, trying to solve those problems as quickly as possible whilst making sure that your customers happy and in the loop.
I can imagine. So it's a lot of client interface and a lot of high customer care skills, I'd be thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. You've really got to be able to be a good communicator, whether that's on the phone or on the counter, and also just trying to be able to interpret what they want. There's a lot of jargon and technical language in the industry, and they can call products really weird and wonderful things, and you've got to be able to ask those probing questions and dig a little bit deeper and find out exactly what they want, because sometimes they'll come in asking for one thing and then you ask them what they're doing with it, and actually we call it something else, or that product went out manufacture in the 70s or something. That doesn't happen very often, to be fair, but they'll come in and they might ask for a bag of dust, and when I was a trainee, that just boggled my mind. So I was like, I don't know what that is, and it's cement. And of course, as soon as you know that, as soon as you've got your head around the language, then it's much easier. And actually, certainly as a trainee, when I learned what dust was, I thought, I'm definitely, I'm going to be all right here. I know the lingo. I'm in the club.
You're so right. It is like learning another language. It is.
Yeah, and just little things like as an industry, there are some products that we still deal with in imperial quantities, or imperial measurements, and whereas most people now deal with metric. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that can be confusing, because the customers would still call timber, a bit of timber 4x2, but actually I need to know that is 50 mil by 100 mil when I order it or whatever. And it's all part of that industry secret language.
So would you say that the people like new to it, would they be given some sort of conversion chart to work with to understand how to purchase?
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I mean, with the work experience trainees, apprentices, or any new starters that I've got over the years, I've always tried to do them a crib sheet. I mean, I had one when I was a trainee. It's really helpful just to overcome some of those everyday language barriers, if you like. But it's amazing how quickly you pick it up, because something like cement or Forbitu, for example, you're selling that every day, and it doesn't, you've got that within a couple of hours of starting the job. I'd say. But yeah, any tool like that would help a new starter is generally provided, and I certainly wouldn't be off put by the fact that the industry's got its own language, because it's not that complicated once you get your head around it.
So how did you start off your career? Have you sort of stayed in the same background, or have you done a bit of building yourself and learned sort of hands-on skills? Like how have you gone about it?
So I actually joined the industry. Well, I joined Ridgeons 8 years ago now as a graduate management trainee. I'd come out of university. I just finished my PhD in archaeology, so not at all related. And saw that they had a graduate management trainee scheme, and joined that, and just loved it. I just loved everything about it. The company were really good to me. They took a punt, because obviously I was a sort of overeducated graduate coming in, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, and did that scheme for about a year, and then a branch became available. So I applied, and that was my first branch management role, and I've stayed in branch management since then, and just moved branches as and when the company needed to, or as it sort of suited where I was at in my career trajectory. So for example, I've just literally in the last month moved to a branch a little bit closer to home, because that fits in with my home life, in that I've just come back from maternity leave. So it's really nice to be a little bit closer to home and be nearer my babies, and that works really well for me.
Nice. Oh, love that. So I've got to ask then, so how you ended up going into this field when obviously your degrees just not, like, the two aren't related? I mean,
not related. That's a really good question. So I suppose I was always waiting for that call from Time Team, and it never came, and I had to have a word with myself and realised that I had to get a proper job. But the reality is that when I was writing up my research at university, I needed a job. I got a job in a call centre. Quickly became a manager in the call centre, and just sort of got the bug for working with people, leading people, trying to get the best out of people. That was also a very fast-paced industry. Really, it was really challenging, very KPI driven, and that sort of thing. And then my husband and I relocated for his work, so we moved down south, and I needed to find something to do, and I had the opportunity to either stay in academia and become an archaeologist and all that stuff, or follow this new interesting path that I just started treading in management. And I just thought, I don't want to work in a university right now. Let's pursue the management idea. And I thought a management training scheme would probably be the most realistic way of becoming a better manager. Just through career search engines and whatnot, came across the Ridgeons graduate trainee management scheme. And like I said, I got an interview, and they took a punt on me, and it's I haven't looked back.
Exactly. Sorry, I just got to touch on a point there. You mentioned KPIs at the call centre. KPIs, for anyone listening, is key performance indicators.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, that's the classic language there. Yeah.
So what's in store for your future? What's the plan? Do you have any sort of career direction that you could put people into, like from your field, how people could where they could go with it, what they could do?
Well, obviously within this particular company, there's lots of opportunities to maybe move to a bigger branch, or go into area management, or perhaps move into head office and go into purchasing and that side of thing. But in the wider industry, is definitely working for Origins has given me transferable skills, so that perhaps I could go and work for one of the suppliers that I deal with, or go into manufacturing, either in management or sales or operations or something like that. Or if I really wanted to, perhaps I could go on the tools and retrade as a brickie or something like that, because I'd have a vague understanding of the products and how they're used and the kind of sites where they get used, and I suppose really that's one of the strengths of working for builders merchants, from what I can see, is that actually you end up dipping your toes into loads of different aspects of the industry. It's not just merchanting, working in a branch selling things. It gives you loads of transferable skills, let alone all the people skills that you get as well, in terms of leadership and coaching and getting the best out of the people that you work with, which of course is needed in any sector and industry, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you touched on that, because it's so important for all to see that you're not actually going down one fixed path and you're stuck on it and committed to it. You can go off in other different directions with it, and that's so important.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think I've asked every question I wanted to ask. Is there anything you'd like to add before we finish?
Not really. I'd just say that I never, as a child, wanted to work for a merchant. I probably didn't even know they existed. And I just would say to anyone interested, young or old, male or female, that don't be put off by what you perceive working in merchanting or working in construction is, because it's often so much more than you think it is. And I'm really glad that I tried something new, because I really enjoy what I do, and it's very, very rewarding sector to work in. I would just say, if you're at all interested, just have a go and enjoy it and get stuck in, and don't look back.
Do you do like internships, like summers or 1 week during half term? Do you offer that?
So I can't speak for all the branches in the company, but personally, I always try to support local work experience opportunities in local schools. But on top of that, I know that the company does get involved with apprentices, and that's been a really useful activity for us previously. Internships, I don't know enough really to say whether or not the company has ever looked at that or is thinking about it, but I know that Hughes Gray Ridgeons are really supportive of trying to get young people engaged in the business, and they've got a good track record of bringing people in, whether it's in the yard or the office, and looking after them. I mean, they love to promote from within. That's really one of their strengths, as an employer, that's certainly worked in my favour.
Okay, yeah. Right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.